You ask questions, and I answer them. Boom, watch fam.
What is up, Watch fam, and welcome to episode 80 of Ask TNH. Quick wristwatch check before we start the episode. I'm wearing a kick-ass killer vintage Zenith. I think that vintage Zenith, like vintage Omega, represents a tremendous value prop. It's funny that Omega was really my favorite from day one, but lately the prices have just been, really just high. They're just high prices. So although we've tried to manage them on the shop, the prices are increasing. Whereas I think Zenith still has a lot of value at 20% of a lower price. So anyway, check out vintage Zenith as a whole. If you guys didn't read our installation of 1 Hour Watch yesterday on theoandharris.com, I seriously recommend you do. It's such a cool series. It goes into the real design and the process of design, which you really don't see that often on blogs. So anyway, let's stop the computer. Let's get into the show. Okay, so today's question is one that I have, very much regard for, one that I am very glad I was asked, and one that is my pleasure to answer. It is the JLC Master Control versus the Montblanc Heritage Chronometer. Why do I love this question? I love this question because the mere fact that it was asked means that someone is, trying to get a dress watch. A very simple, classic, no frills, perfectly refined dress watch. And if you haven't read our articles or seen our videos in the past, I have a very extremely high regard for simple watches with crocodile or calf straps, clean dials, time only, stuff like that. I love those kinds of watches. Bottom line is, to me, less is very often times more. And although there's definitely a place in the world for a royal oak, because there absolutely is, sometimes being quiet and wearing a JLC Master Control just says a lot. It really does. So anyway, this question is one of my favorites. So now let's go into the specifications. Okay, the Jaeger LeCoultre Master Control Date is a brilliant watch. It is, like we said before, the epitome of refinement. Jaeger LeCoultre is the watchmaker's watch. It is kind of a watch that, as far as in brand, not in brand holistically, it's a watch that not everybody knows, although it is mainstream, still not everybody knows it, and those who do know it really understand the wearer. It has taste. It's someone that is a little bit more into watches and into spending money, not necessarily on the punch on the side of the offense, like, hey, I'm wearing an expensive watch, like a gold sub, but rather, hey, I'm a big watch guy. I have a really great, Jaeger LeCoultre. So that, to me, although it's totally anecdotal, is a truth, and I think that this watch definitely embodies that. Aesthetically, it is hard to talk about, watches and the dial configurations and stuff. So I'm going to be very, very opinionated on my end. Please feel free to disagree. But I do think it's a beautiful watch. I think that the dial is brightened by the Dauphine hands that kind of catch the sun. I think that the hash marks are great. I think that the little arrow just, to me, it adds a sharp feeling to a watch that could be dull very easily. I think the dress watches could very easily be dull. So adding that bit of, that point and that sharpness to the watch, I think does bring it very far. I think that the hash marks around the dial are interesting, but I think that Montblanc did a better job. We'll wait and see that in a second. I think that even the date looks very nice. And I think that, very anecdotally again, the date might age with time. I think that there's a potential that it could turn maybe to a custard color, and that does excite me. Overall, I really do think that they achieved a balance here, and even by throwing in the Arabic numerals, which definitely, since they're not Breguet numerals, definitely is a bit of an effort to be a little bit more modern and be a little bit more approachable to everybody. So I think that I can commend, Jaeger LeCoultre on that end. We'll go into the movement. So inside is the Jaeger LeCoultre caliber 899 or 899. It's an automatic movement that fits the watch perfectly. It's super well decorated. It's even technologically advanced with ceramic ball bearings. It's got a pretty big power reserve, definitely above 40 hours. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful movement, and I think that you are getting a lot at the price point for it. For example, this movement, let's do like a bit of a off-track thing. This movement fits this watch, right? I mean, look at it. And for $6,800, you are paying for a movement that actually fits the watch proportionally well. And I love Glasswood Original, but for a little less money, pull up a picture of the Senator 60s in the back. See, that movement does not fit. So although it may seem minuscule and it may seem very unimportant to us, the difference in value is reflected in the difference in price. It depends on really what you enjoy, but it's hard to deny the beauty behind the Jaeger LeCoultre caliber. It's super well finished. Even the rotor with the gold decoration writing is really beautiful. If you take that off and show it to somebody, watch geek or not, you're going to get immediate approval. People are going to recognize that that is a beautiful, beautiful thing, if nothing else, behind your watch. So you're definitely paying for it, but it is there, and they're not cheating you in typical Jaeger LeCoultre fashion. So now let's do the Montblanc a little bit. Measuring at 40 millimeters, the watch is a little bit bigger, but a little bit, very, very small, but 1 millimeter larger. The dial, I think, is extremely well executed. They did a similar, kind of job here with the Arabic numerals, trying to, sportize the watch and make it a little bit more approachable to just the mass market and mass appeal. I think they did a great job with their case, very much so like the Jaeger LeCoultre, adding that thin bezel to add a little bit of complexity to the case. I think it does add just a bit of body that, once again, shouldn't go unnoticed. I think they did a great job with the dial. Like I said before, I alluded to before, I think that they did a wonderful job with the outer track here. I think that the outer track, the black kind of track, really adds some foundation to the watch and some, just body at the core of the design. Because without it, the silvers and the kind of the matte finishes, I think they'll get lost. They could be a little bit, almost dreary and monotonous if that black wasn't there. So although it is small and kind of insignificant, I think it does a great job, or it serves a great purpose. I think that Montblanc did a terrific job with the hands on this watch. It's these alpha hands, but they're flat, they're undecorated, and I think it was brilliant. It's kind of a modern play on a really classic design that I think that Montblanc really hit out of the park. Jaeger LeCoultre did a great job with their Dauphine, but it is Dauphine, and it's not necessarily new or innovative or just kind of surprising. It is something that they do it really well, and that's it. Everyone's done Dauphine before, and I don't resent that, but it's there. Whereas Montblanc kind of did something different here, something that I hadn't really seen in the past. So I definitely respect that. I think that Montblanc won on another end here with their logo placement. I think that Montblanc Mechanic on the 12, it looks classic. It's not imposing. I feel like it's kind of it's just pretty. And I think it complements the outer track really well because it's in the black. It feels more expensive than a watch that's trying to shove it down your throat, that it's luxurious. They didn't try to, I think, pull any punches with this watch. They did place the logo, really well done, on the crown, which, although obviously is not this huge detail, I think it is quite nice. And to see that at that kind of price point, which is $2,000 and probably around $15,000 on the aftermarket, is brilliant. I think they did a really great job. On the movement end, it's an in-house Montblanc movement, I believe. But let me take a look at it. It's great. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm so happy they did it in-house. They did a mechanical movement, a manual wind nonetheless. And the manual wind watches are brilliant. They're underappreciated, and I think that Montblanc did a great job utilizing them, or utilizing it here. But not only is it a smaller movement and kind of ill-fitting to the watch, but if you look at it, it's not as decorated. It's not as pretty. The plates aren't chamfered. The Côte de Genève is kind of weak. Total big props, big respect to anyone who has one. Like, if someone showed me the back, I would say, killer, like, you made a great choice in buying this, without a doubt. But there's no denying that this is an inferior watch to the Jaeger LeCoultre. But there's nothing wrong with that. And the price reflects it. I mean, you're talking about $1,500 in the aftermarket compared to $5,000 on the aftermarket. So there is a big difference, and it's really only reflected in movement, which I have no problem with. Because ultimately, and although we hate to admit this, although we may love movements and we may love, the importance of Côte de Genève and chamfers and all that, most people don't know or care what that means. And the truth is, maybe one day they will, but for right now, they need to start liking watches. They need to start liking, non-decorated watches. They need to start at a price point which they can afford and justify. They're not going to go straight to a $6,000 Jaeger LeCoultre. They have to start somewhere. And quite frankly, you don't even have to start, or you don't even have to graduate from that point, because there's the other consumer, not just the beginner, but the guy who's really into sports watches, the guy who's really into GMTs and Hoyers and all that kind of stuff, that really does not like or find a place for dress watches. If he has a $10,000 budget and he just bought a GMT for $8,000, this is the perfect watch to fill that dress watch hole. I have tremendous respect for Montblanc in doing that, in filling a spot in the market that was not filled. It was empty. This spot for an affordable 40 millimeter, really well designed, kind of modern dress watch with a mechanical, nonetheless, manual wind movement. The watch that can really seduce a lot of people into loving watches, nonetheless dress watches, which to me holds a super special place in my heart. Jaeger LeCoultre is supposed to be doing this. And I respect them for doing it, and I love Jaeger. It's one of my favorite brands in the world. But that's their job to make this, right? This is what they do. Montblanc, they're not held to that kind of standard. They're not held to the standard of this watch. So because they achieved that, because they achieved, to me, such a brilliant watch, I give them tremendous props, huge respect, and I would recommend it any day of the week. In the clash of the two watches, which do I recommend? Neither. I recommend that you know yourself. I recommend that you know what the hell you're looking to get out of a watch and purchase. If it's an incredible movement, if it's a genuinely forward-thinking movement, and you want to devote that kind of money to it, go Jaeger LeCoultre. But if you really just want a dress watch, if you're a GMT guy and you really just think that this is a beautiful watch that would absolutely fit that spot to go to the office or to wear it with a sweater or whatever it is, this is the watch for you. In fact, they're both kind of the watch for me, but I would absolutely put it this way. I don't know if I would buy either, but I would absolutely wear proudly both of them. So, take that for what it is, but I give both companies props, but to me, and I'm always rooting for the underdog, Montblanc killed it here. Thank you guys for watching episode 80 of Ask TNH. Subscribe to our YouTube channel below, please. It's very important that we get our sub count up so we get more viewership, and then can invest more into making videos and new series, whatever. Thank you guys for watching.